You gonna do the
The
intro?
doors of the Love Church are now open. Dear world, you name it, we cover it from the world of singles to the behind the scenes of the greatest movie ever filmed, called Marriage. We dig into everything from dating 101. Why won't they commit? It's complicated. I can't do it if it's the three of us. They're a good person, but I'm not attracted to them in that way. Two, they really didn't disclose who they were before I said I do. How do I do this if they can't keep a job? The bills are paid, but the bedroom is suffering. Did I marry you or did I marry your family because we only can take care of us? Let's open up our marriage. Why do I have to buy into your beard gang illusion? You could have told me you were down low and we could have remained friends and not married. And last but not least, did you marry me or your pastor? Have we gotten your attention yet? If so, tune in to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, if you want to hear more of today's real issues in the world of love. The doors of the Love Church are now open.
All right. All right.
Hey, what's going on?
Good evening and hello, everyone. Yes, and welcome to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio. I'm your host, Mr. Charles Dixon, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Adam Ford. How are you, sir?
What's up, fam? How y'all doing? I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm hanging in there.
What was that? What was that
Unfortunately,
pause?
I'm just a tad bit. I'm a tad bit under the weather, a little bit. So, but nonetheless, I am showing my commitment and determination to
Oh
push the
God!
cause, and I'm going to just do what I got to do anyway.
Wow!
All right,
Wow!
now, Mr.
Okay.
Ford,
Yeah.
today today is one of those. Today is one of those topics, sir, that's likely to cause a stir.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that it already
The
has.
show today,
I'm pretty sure that it already has. I have
listen,
no doubt about that.
listen, man. We talk about all sorts of things, right? We talk about
Yeah.
all sorts of angles of relationships, so on and so forth. But we can't skip over those other areas that are equally, if not more, important to
Okay.
also dive into. Because
Okay.
let's just be honest. Some of these things we're not privy enough to talk about. Let's just say people sometimes they don't talk about it in they're not able to talk about it in their churches or
True.
if you're not in church, if you're just having conversations, it's such a touchy taboo and people's feelings are sometimes tender, so
Right.
we don't talk about it then either.
Okay.
So we're going to try to just tap into this and,
hmm
and go a little bit with it. So
All right.
today's show
Help us,
is
Lord.
entitled "The Bedroom Matters."
Yes, it
Now,
does.
I added a piece to it, and I'll read the piece that I added. But it's the bedrooms, the bedroom matters, the
hmm
good, the naughty, and the red flags.
hmm
All right.
hmm
Now, just so you all know where I'm going with this, the purpose of this show is to reevaluate the way sexual satisfaction in the bedroom is perceived.
Okay.
Everyone wants to feel like they're pleased by their person, but sometimes there's a lot that comes with that. And unless people unpack things and be honest, sometimes we arrive at places that are less desirable. But anyway, now,
Lord,
disclaimer at the top of the hour.
that's right. Do the disclaimer.
In
Come on,
no
let's go.
means am I condoning or pushing or influencing sex on someone outside of the confines of marriage. Now, however, I'm not currently a married guy. I have children. So, nonetheless, I have clearly, when I was colored outside the lines, right? A
Yes,
time or two,
all
or
outside the
two or
line.
two. So,
All outside the
nonetheless,
line.
we are here. And so I have surely got my bag of, my satchel of experiences on my back to talk about and lend to this conversation. Hey, before we get get tapping into this, sir. Anything you want to say before we get moving?
No, there's nothing I want to say.
All
Look, listen.
All right, all right.
You know how sometimes you're watching TV and you get that parental advisory that comes on the TV before the program.
That's what this is.
Airs, and they ask for those who are underage to leave the room, or you might want to consider watching something else.
Yeah, this is that time. This is
I kind of want to go ahead and just hide my own eyes and leave the room. Not for the topic.
Yeah, but do like this.
Yeah, I want to put my finger up because I know the backlash is coming. I know it's coming. It's on the way.
Yeah, it's gonna come. You better believe it.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna go into a little bit of what I posted on Facebook as a promotion. Yeah. I said, yes, we need love, we need trust, we need an understanding, and we need loyalty. However, more than anything, we need a consistent regimen of fulfilling intimacy and connection. Then I said, in covenant, that is. All right. Quote. All right. Now, I gave you 3 categories initially, but I added one because by popular demand, people were inboxing me saying, "Hey, how can you start off at good?" Like, in other words, because I said the good, the naughty, then I said the red flag. So people are suggesting there has to be something before good. So I added what I call the fallen short. That's what I added. All right. So I'm going to read through these really quickly. You might have it on your side, Adam.
I got it. I see it.
When I'm speaking of, when I speak of the fallen short, the fallen short means the sexual exchange is usually less than satisfactory for one or both partners. The presentation efforts are rarely there. The ideal activity for him and the expected end for her are rarely met. He complains about not getting it enough. She complains about not receiving it right. On tonight. Now, that's the falling short. Now, the good means the sex is insufficient. I'm sorry, the sex is sufficient.
Jeez.
It's sufficient and keeps you afloat. Basically, there's nothing to write home about the experience, but you can't complain. Side note, you only speak of it when asked about it. All right. Now, here is the
what
naughty.
other time would you anyway?
There is an
what other time are you thinking about it, bro?
We're gonna review. We're gonna review it. I'm gonna tell you. All right. So the good means the sex is sufficient. Oh, I already did that one. The naughty means there is an extra edge about the experience that adds to the element of sexual satisfaction. This is better than good and can keep most content. Side note, you almost want to pick up the phone and tell someone. All right. You're gonna put it all together, Adam, when I go back. Go ahead.
All right. No.
Last but not least.
Go ahead.
And last but not least, the red flags means there's an immoral aspect about it that makes you feel uncomfortable. It's usually a suggestion, an action, or a request that exceeds your normal comprehension. These red flags are not to be ignored and can determine whether you remain sanely or if you morph to a desensitized version of you. The act almost feels as if the sexual experience is a weaponized finessing. Side note, you usually keep this to yourself, or maybe one other person you trust to ensure you're not crazy as to what's happening. All right. Now, before we go forward, these are all from the brain of Charles. Okay. So this wasn't in the book. These are just things I broke down how I see life. That's it. All right. So, Mr. Ford, let's talk about the falling short. Okay, let's start there. Okay. So to me, you arrive at the falling short part to me is lack of proper communication.
Okay.
before you guys chose to say I do, if that's your scenario, or we are committed, if you're not married, whatever, at some point, you either had the conversation about what you like, what you don't like, what you expect, this, that, and the other, before you took the dive to do whatever you're doing. It always kind of baffles me when I hear of people that talk about disdain in the bedroom, in the marriage, or what have you, when I'm thinking to myself, you didn't talk about this or know that this person wasn't into XYZ beforehand, or did you just do like some people do? You know, they just move into the situation, and here we are, and let's just make the best of it with whatever we got.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
So, what are your thoughts on that part?
The falling short. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly,
falling short.
I think you have to have some type of dialogue in regards to this, and that's and in a relationship, this should not be something that is not talked about. This should be something that actually is engaged in on a regular basis. You know, we talk about finances, we talk about how many children you want, we talk about where we're going to live, we talk about salaries. But when it comes to this particular topic, when it comes to our sexuality and engaging sexually, we literally shut up. We don't say anything, and we're expecting the other person to know certain things, you know, without being informed as to what we like or what we don't like. And that's wrong. That's a false expectation, because how am I going to know what pleases you unless you actually tell me? You know what I'm saying? It has to be a discussion in some way along the lines to whereas you are educating me as to what the things that you like and the things that you don't like, you know? And I think a lot of times, because of the fact that we don't know and we assume certain things, it's going to be disappointing, because you've never given me the information that I needed to have in the first place to be able to meet whatever expectations that you have. So if you're not communicating this information to me, how am I supposed to know? That this is the reason why I'm falling short. This is the reason why you're falling short, because neither one of us know the thing that gets the other person off. Let's be real. Let's be honest about it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this is walking in a good direction, because let's also say this.
Yeah.
Now, we're assuming this is a conversation or an issue happening within a certain age range, right? You know, let's just say, you know, the youngins will be the youngins, but let's just say your mid 30s upwards, maybe even lower 30s upwards. It gets to a point where you kind of assume if a person is approaching you or trying to pursue you, in your mind, where you got to have a little bit of experience if you are an active person. I gotta keep saying that. You're thinking you just kind of assuming this person is just not showing up a total novice to the competition. You get my drift?
Right.
So you got to look at it like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like on an NFL field when it's already assumed that these people out here are getting paid to do what they do. So they are professionals. So you're just not going to assume a regular guy from the stands just going to walk out into the field, let's play. You're going to be like, boy, sit down before you get broke up. So it's the concept, when you think about it, walking into the situation of being with someone and being together intimately, you got to have that conversation about where do you feel you stand.
Okay. Which is fine.
You know, you got to be honest.
Yeah, you absolutely should be honest. And so the other part of it is this, and I kind of broke it down, and I kind of want to break it down so that everybody understands in terms of where I'm coming from. There are some generalities that we know, some general things, some basic fundamentals that we know in terms of you know being with your other person. That's general information. That's where we're going to put that at. But then there are some specificities that may not necessarily be known because the other person has not disclosed this information to me. But as a partner, I need to ask questions. I need to be deliberate, and I need to know what it is that you enjoy, that makes you happy, that brings you pleasure. These are the questions that I need to ask, and I need to continue to ask. you so that I know, so that I'm not operating off of assumption, because I can sit here and I can assume a lot of things, but it's not until you actually tell me clearly what it is that brings you pleasure that I can actually do that thing for you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, again, I'm
Now,
saying there are general things that we all know, general things that we understand in terms of how things function, in terms of what you can do, even based off your past experience in terms of having other partners. Okay, fine. But then there are some specific things that are just idiosyncratic to that particular person that makes that person happy, that brings that person pleasure. These are the things that I need to know, because these are the things that are going to promote an enjoyable experience for the life of the relationship. Without these things, it's going to be difficult. And you're going to walk away from every sexual encounter disappointed and unfulfilled, because we haven't talked about your specific.
Now, what would you say to? Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and just turn the hard corner, Adam. Right, just gonna
Oh,
pull the
I thought
Band-Aid
we
off.
did
All
that
right,
already. We didn't turn the
here,
hard
let's
corner
just
already. I thought we already
no,
turned the hard
we
corner.
didn't turn the corner at all.
Oh,
Now I'm just going to go
God.
ahead and just take the Band-Aids off
Oh,
and
Jesus.
go in. All right.
Lord have mercy.
From my perspective, I believe one of the biggest issues is simply that there is someone that is more of a freak, right? And
Okay.
then there is someone that is very indifferent to that freak sexually. And so
Okay.
what happens is you get these people together, and the person goes through the experience, and when the experience is over, the other person is like, well, you don't do this, you're not going to do this. Excuse me, what do you mean? It's disgusting. And the person like, wait a minute, you think this is it's disgusting? Well, I like this, and this is going to do this for me, or if not, we're going to have a problem.
Right.
So a lot of times those are the conversations that are not had. A long time ago, I talked about how we don't discuss our real turn-ups. We suppress them. And the
Right.
turn-up is the things that we know we totally are open to. But we suppress them because we don't want to run the partner off or make them be like, what in the world are you asking me? You know what I'm saying? So we go
Right.
head on and we pretend, and we try to finesse the person slowly but surely into what we like. And sometimes you're met with indifference, because some people are like, look, I'm not, this is a little too much. I'm not into this. Sorry. And
Right.
now there you go. It's a crazy situation on your hands, and there you go. But so let's just say this. Oh, good. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
No, but even then,
Let's go. Bruce said. Bruce. Oh,
but even then, okay, so one
go ahead.
person is a freak and the other person is conservative. When do they actually talk about these things? When does the freak say, I'm a freak? And when does the
People,
conservative person say, I'm conservative? You can't sit here and tell me
you
that
know what?
we are assuming this information without having a discussion. That's not going to work.
So
It's completely not going to work.
I think people assume that we're going to navigate one another enough until we discover something that really works. I'm just being honest. People will not necessarily, not everybody. Now, there are some people that are bold in their sexual prowess, and they're
Yeah.
going to tell you exactly what they like, how they like it, and how often they like it. That's
Okay.
not too rare, but
Okay.
some will.
All right.
Some will just present themselves, go along to get along, and if you happen to land on the land of milk and honey, then good for you. But if not, then they'll just kind of go along with it until dissatisfaction carries on too much. And when it carries on too much, the first sign is going to be attitude, short of conversation, but it's not going to tell you what's really happening. And then when it
Wow.
explodes, well, you know what? You're the one, don't do X, Y, Z, right? So, or whatever you're not doing enough of
Right.
something. And so
Okay.
now we find ourselves in these situations. And so, this is what I used to always, here's another big part of this whole concept.
Mhm.
And I learned this very early on in life, Adam, is that
Okay.
a person that is loyal to pleasure
Mhm.
is a person that you really can trust. And I'm gonna tell you where I'm going with this.
Okay.
Follow me on this one. Let's just say we have people that are avid masturbators.
Okay.
Avid. Like avid, right? It has
Okay.
nothing to do with necessarily. I know it's going to take in a left, Adam. It's all right. Okay, so
I mean,
they're
dude.
Adam masturbators. They're avid, Adam S. Let's just go there, man. Some people
Oh
are
my
avid
God.
masturbators, and then you have some people who that let's just say in between relationships or talking to this one and this one. Maybe they're not committed. And yes, it is totally their prerogative to do what they do. But there are some peoples who indulge in hookups. Hey, what are you doing? Come over. And it's not necessarily that they're looking for something.
Right.
They want to get that need met because there's an addiction there.
Okay.
And so all I'm saying is when you find people that we run into, this is not to be ignored. When somebody lets you know that pleasure for them is on another level, and that if you're participating or not, I'm going to get this done, it is definitely something you better open your eyes to, because what will happen is on the downspouts of that relationship and or marriage, if you're not living up to that bar, guess what? Somebody is going outside the color, outside the lines.
Wow.
It's going to happen. So that's why you got to wait. When you notice these things, don't think it's cute when somebody pulling out a little butterfly, rose, whatever you have, right? Pulling out the little things as a supplement, right?
Okay.
And you're like, wait a minute, this isn't right. No, but anyway, they're pulling out the little supplements or whatever, and you like, okay, all right. And so you just got to know what's what, because that stuff can be addiction. It can be really addictive when a person has spent a lot of time being single and doing what they do to stay afloat, right? And sometimes it can go a little too far left, and people are out there. And now when they're coming to meet somebody, they're saying they want a relationship, but I do have these addictions that I am loyal to. So that's when a choice has to be made, because some of these addictions that we have really is just a lack of maturity.
Okay.
It's just getting to a place in mind where you say, listen, I don't want to live my life in a way that I have to have this certain level of satisfaction, or it's just not going to be right in life for me. That's like crazy, right? Our flesh should not dictate our lives.
It shouldn't.
Right? However, in a lot of cases, many of us grow up in ways where we allow it to happen. I mean, heck, we have the evidence in all sorts of ways where we had a child by somebody we never would have, married somebody we never would have. And a lot of these decisions were based off of what we could not stop doing.
Okay.
So this is why I say, pay attention to those things when they come up, because we think it's cute in the moment when we see that kind of freak displayed before you. But a lot of times the red flag in those scenarios are behind the freak is really, in some cases, molestation, abuse,
right?
All sorts of the core of how they learn what they learn didn't come from a healthy place,
right?
Now, and sometimes this is where we get into the predator space, where people finesse their partners sexually to get things, not for love, but to get things because they're good at what they do. So this is why I say everything that's freaky is not a great thing. You got to understand what the core behind the freak stuff is. And then sometimes nowadays, if you look all over online and the things that we're seeing, this stuff is not even love making or sex. It is a nasty performance.
Wow.
It's not even endearing. It's not caring. It's just like carnage. And you're just like, what in the world is this? Anyway, this is where we are. So before we get way left field, sir.
Dude, we already way left field.
I said
we already left field, dude.
We're gonna stay where we are. We're gonna stay where we are, but I just want to make sure we stay on the path. So we were talking about the falling short. The falling short is basically where you have problems in that bedroom area, right? It's like you might love the person, we're together, we're trying, but somebody or both parties aren't talking to say this is not working. And so a lot of times people have their alternatives to deal with certain things, whether it is a toy, whether it is a backfill order, which means another person. So these things happen. It's not a good truth, but it happens. So we're going to move on to the good. The good is, if let's turn the corner, Adam. The good is the person is sufficient. They may bring me over the bridge, if you get my drift, for grown folks. Wow. They bring me to an expected end. But it is nothing to write home about. It is mundane, and I don't talk about it unless my girlfriends or my dudes ask me about it. I leave it at that. It's basically base ground level interaction. Okay. And believe it or not, this is where probably 70 to 75% of people fall in the good category. It's just, we don't want to hurt your feelings. We don't want to tell you that it's not really, giving, everything great. It's not presented necessarily right. Presentation is huge in the intimate space. Presentation is, how do you show up to the situation?
Right.
Are you coming in there with a bonnet if you're a woman? If you're a guy, you come in there with you just dirty stuff under your fingernails. You don't smell good.
Right.
All those things matter when it gets to what you're doing. It really does. And we'll get into the other part later. But anyway, yeah, that part needs to. Don't drift, y'all. To me, the good means you are drifting. You're not being honest about what you like and what you really want. You're just drifting because you don't want to be judged. Someone does not want the other person to say, why you want me to do what? I'm going to call your mother. Somebody doesn't want someone to know what they really like. Or someone doesn't want their feelings hurt. Listen, do you know what will happen to someone if you say, listen, if you're a woman, imagine a woman saying, "Hey, imagine a woman." That's Janet. Shout out to Janet. Oh Lord. But anyway, no bonnets. Take them off. Jesus Christ, no bonnets. But anyway, so yeah, listen, man, listen.
Oh God.
What will happen is people. So on the good side of it, that means someone is tolerating the experience. But in their mind, they're like, this is totally what I'm not used to. I'm used to something way over here, but this is where I am. So you can't expect the person to mimic something you had, right? Sometimes it's like it's a gamble of the dice. But you can have a conversation to talk about what you feel is falling short in the interaction. Go ahead. Let's keep it at falling short, and then we'll move forward.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, basically.
I'm sorry. I mean, at good. I'm sorry, at good. That's where we're at. We're at good.
I mean, I was just going to say, I think if I'm being honest, we're lazy when it comes to certain things, and we don't say what we need to say because we fear maybe the person will reject us. They don't understand. They might not understand us. We feel as though we might be judged because of what we're saying, what we like or what we don't like. But honestly, I have found it beneficial in my own personal relationship that when I speak up and I say, this is my need, or this is my issue, or this is my desire, that person, my wife, has already created a space of safety for me to feel free to be able to say those things to her. If we're having an issue when it comes to, I guess, sexual activity between the both of us, that's a conversation. And honestly, at the end of all of this, in terms of, how we treat each other, what we're doing for each other, what gives each other pleasure, if we are not talking to each other, if we don't have an understanding of one another, none of this means anything, in all honesty. No matter how many times you want to do it a day, what devices that you want to do it with, what gets you off, if we don't have a conversation about this, if we're not talking explicitly, listen, we are adults. If we're not talking explicitly about the things that bring us pleasure, what in the world are we doing in this relationship with one another? That's what I want to know. Because we're obviously wasting each other's time.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? If
Wow.
I'm investing my energy, my
Yeah, yeah.
resources in you, in developing this relationship and furthering this relationship and bringing a level of maturity to this relationship, and we get to the place where we can't talk about what pleases us sexually, what are we really doing in this relationship? That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Because it's not just about being in
Wow.
the bedroom.
But you know,
It's not just about being in the bedroom. I don't want y'all to miss
yeah,
this. It ain't just about being in the bedroom. Okay. And I've already said this before, but intimacy has nothing to do
yeah,
with sexuality. Intimacy is me allowing
yeah,
you into who I really am so that you can see me for who I really am. Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
yeah,
Sexual
yeah,
activity is the bonus. That's the cherry on the top.
yeah,
That's the culmination of our relationship. That's the celebration part of our relationship. And if we're not having a
yeah,
conversation about the things that make us happy, that please us, again, what are we doing? Are we faking it the whole time? Are
yeah.
we faking this thing the whole time? That's what I want to know. What are we doing?
Of course we are. I'm telling you, a lot of this has to do with people not wanting the other person's image of them to be redefined.
But
Some
it's going
people
to be
feel like if I
redefined.
told you what I really, really like,
It's going to be, it's
go ahead.
going
I'm
to
sorry. Go ahead.
change. Listen,
Yeah,
listen.
yeah,
I'm not going to be the same person I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. As human
yeah,
beings, we evolve, we change, we
yeah,
grow. And as people are in my life, they're going to
yeah.
see those changes and growth. What's incumbent upon them is to keep up with the changes because they should be changing too,
Mm,
right? The same woman
for
that I
sure.
married 5 years ago is not the same woman that I'm with today. But because I'm keeping up with her changes, because I remain continually updated with who she is today, that means I'm never out of date with her. And so I'm continually
Yeah.
engaging her, actively finding out what brings her pleasure. Because the same thing that brought her pleasure 3 weeks ago is not the same thing today. Unless I ask a question and find out, which
Mm,
means I'm talking to the person on a regular basis. I have active
yeah.
communication with this person on a regular basis.
Yeah. No, that's a key point because if we all are honest, a lot of people don't talk; they just do,
They
and
just
they
do.
they kind of expect the person. It's like a body gamble. You rolling the dice. Did it go good? Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, this was great. It just depends. It's not having those conversations about what a person really likes and what a person really expects out of
Exactly.
the situation. You
Listen,
understand what I'm
listen,
saying?
listen. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring it down even further. If you are not studying your person, if you're not studying your
Yeah.
person, finding out what it is that they actually like, okay, and then reading
Mm,
up on certain things, understanding the whole maneuvers and the different positions that you can take to bring your person pleasure. If you're not studying this stuff, if you're not reading this stuff and updating yourself on this stuff, again, my question is, what are you doing? We will update our phones, we'll update our computers, we'll update our laptops, we'll get all these things up to date. But when it comes to our knowledge and our information about the
mm,
person that's in our life, we lack. We walk around ignorant and
yeah.
dumb about the person that we're with. Come on, y'all. We can do
Right.
better than this.
Wow. Yes. I mean, this is good. Somebody was going to the left talking about position changes. But anyway, so all right. Now let's go from
You
to get
better
my
buy a
head back
book.
in order. Let's go
Go,
from
go buy
we're
your book.
talking
I
about
guarantee you, it'll help you. Go buy your
Hey,
book.
listen, you know what I've learned? Listen, what I have learned, no, the book part is definitely probably a good thing.
Yes.
But in some cases, let's just call it what it is. Some people either have it or they don't. And when
Okay.
I mean have it, it's just like you ever seen the terms on in sports. Well, there's a reason people say they're just an all-out natural athlete.
Right. I get it.
They're
I get it.
saying this person at base level, they're great. And
Right.
then you have the person that they'll say, oh, we took such and such to Alabama and we trained him all the way up. and he knows the rules and the plays, but he
Right.
doesn't have the natural ability.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is some of this stuff in intimacy and sex or whatever you have it, some of what makes it good is just a person's natural instinct and their natural ability to know what works, to know when to be gentle, to know when to pull back, to know when to caress, whatever the case, that
Okay.
the book can tell you and point you to things, but
Right.
application is where it happens. You understand what I'm saying?
True.
That's all.
And I think that has a lot to do with being sensitive to your person. And again, I want to reemphasize this: knowing your person, knowing them. And again, okay,
Yeah.
okay, you might have a natural proclivity for this. I'm not saying that you don't. But what I
Yeah.
am saying is, for those of us who don't have a natural proclivity for this, you can study and you can train and you can learn. You can have conversations, constant dialogue, engaging with the person, finding out, even in the act of asking them, hey, how are you feeling? Does this feel good to you? Why are we so afraid to talk? Why are we not talking?
You're gonna get people laugh. You're gonna get them. People are getting laughed out the bedroom asking that question. Is this feeling good?
Really?
What? You better do what you do. You get to ask, are you liking this? Is this kind to your body? Get out of here when you're going somewhere. You done ruined it. So yeah.
No.
This is what happens, Adam. But yeah.
It's all about the finesse. It's the finesse of the situation.
I know.
It's
No, I'm
how
just
you
teasing.
finesse
I
it.
know.
It's how you engage that person. All of it. Man, y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all missing out on some of that. That's all I'm saying. You better talk to him, man. You better talk to him.
Yes. All right. Okay, let's go to the naughty. All right. The naughty may sound like it's the crazy one, but the naughty is there is an extra edge about the experience that adds to the element of sexual satisfaction. This is better than good and can keep most content. Side note, you almost want to pick up the phone and tell someone. Now, the key about the naughty, notice I said, and in most cases, can keep you content. Because guess what? If a person stays in the mundane good too long, they get to thinking about what they can do to remedy their situation.
Okay,
Go ahead. I know you got something on your brain. Go ahead.
I got an issue, man. I got an issue with the way that you
Come on.
the way that you categorize the naughty, man. And I understand where you're going with this.
No. It may be labeled differently. Yeah.
I really think that it's really kind of, I think you kind of mislabeled this one. This one should be the best because it is on the edge, and it does please you.
That's why it's the naughty.
No, you make it.
Yeah.
No.
It is good.
This is the reason why.
Listen. The next one after this one is the worst one.
Okay, listen.
Go ahead,
this is my
in
point.
terms of good, naughty on this one is the best one. Go ahead.
But why you got to call it naughty? Why are we playing into those tropes, to those stereotypes? Why are you making this something that is almost not to be spoken of because you've labeled it in that way? If this is because the way you describe this should be the best, right? Am I wrong? Is the naughty?
It is the best. That's how I'm describing it.
But then
I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
That doesn't make it naughty.
Naughty meaning, in other words, but the naughty concept is coming from it being edgy. That's what maybe I should have said that, but Danielle, that's what I mean. I didn't mean it in a bad way.
Thank you, Danielle.
I'm saying it to say it's good.
Yes, that's what you should be saying.
Listen,
Danielle Peaceman said, "Sex is a gift from God, a gift." Okay, so we got to change the way that we look at this. We got to change the way that we look at this. It's not naughty,
but you know.
And I know where you're trying to go, but this is not naughty. This is the reason why there's so many issues with sexuality today, because we're making it something that it's not. We're misunderstanding it. If this is not naughty.
So listen, here is the point we're not saying. I think you're taking naughty as bad in this instant.
Okay.
In this instance, that's why I put good before it. I was adding naughty after it to say it's another level past that mundane level of good. That's why I was saying this is the level. Listen, we can argue about this all day. Make no mistake about it. It is the very reason you have women and I'm only saying women because we're men, and I'm sure it could be vice versa. But this is why the term "I'm bored" exists, because there's not enough edginess. We
I get
cannot be kind to everything. People, you'd be surprised what people want
Okay.
you to do in the naughty area. You'd be
Okay.
surprised. But the point,
Okay.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but my whole thing
So
is
I'm not making it. I'm
okay.
not making it a bad
For
thing.
me, I don't see it as naughty. I see it as I'm doing the best. I'm hitting my marks. I'm doing it. She's
Yeah.
happy. She's excited. This is what I'm saying. I'm not seeing this. To me, is not naughty.
Yeah. Which one is you is naughty? Say it again. I'm sorry. I
This
didn't
to
catch
me
that.
is what you have called naughty is not naughty.
Okay. Well, what would you title it? We can redefine the title of it, because my intention was for it to mean the next level beyond good.
Okay,
So
the
tell
next
me what
level.
you think.
How
We can
about you
go with
call it
that.
that? The next level. How about that? Call
Oh,
it the
all
next
right.
level.
The next. So people, we have fallen short, which is the issue area. We have good, which is the teetering on the borderline of satisfaction versus boredom, and then we have the next level per Mr. Ford, where the edginess, the things that take place, that it's like, you get me, you understand my body. I don't have to tell you. We don't have to go through this rigmarole. You understand my chemistry.
But why
That's
does
what
it
I
have
mean
to
when I
have a
say
negative
that's what I meant when I
connotation?
was right there.
My point is, why does this have to
Who
have?
said it's negative?
Oh, okay. I mean,
I didn't mean it to be negative. No,
Okay,
I promise you.
okay. So the word
Oh, yeah.
naughty,
No, I promise you, I
has a
didn't mean it to
negative
be negative.
connotation with it. That's kind of my point. The word naughty has a negative connotation. You look it up in the dictionary, it's going to tell you
Yeah.
naughty means bad. That's what it's going to tell you. But I see where you're going. You're trying to say that this is supposed to be
Thank you,
premium.
Danielle. Because
Okay.
I promise you, what I'm saying to you is that women, y'all need to talk up and keep it 1,000. Women want naughty, straight up. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm
Okay.
just telling you, women want
Sisters-
naughty. Okay, on the next level. I'm just being honest. Ask the sisters for a poll.
You think
Do
naughty
they
has
want
this-
the naughty? They want the good, the falling short, or the next
Okay.
level?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to
All
tell.
right.
I'm not making this
Okay.
up.
I
This is
know.
what
I got
women
you.
want.
Okay.
They'll tell you quickly that something is not working, or they'll introduce something left field. You'll be like, wait a minute, you want to introduce this? Yes. I want something different. I'm telling you, this is real talk.
I got
But
you.
okay, go ahead.
I got you. I
Look
can
at
see the
Danielle
point.
says,
I can see the
Danielle
point.
says, yeah. Danielle says, Adam, you thinking naughty as in Santa. Correct.
Yeah,
Help him out, Danielle.
yeah,
That's what he's thinking about. I wasn't thinking about it. I promise you. I was thinking about it from the perspective of it's the next edgy level. But you're right. I should have said next level, perhaps.
Okay.
That's the way I was looking at it. That way. All right. So we're on the same page with that.
We're on the
Because I
same
know the
page
ladies
today.
know all the women in their life have had situations and they had to tell somebody about it. At some point or another, they couldn't keep it to themselves because they enjoyed it. That's all I'm saying in that situation.
Okay.
All right. Now we get to the meat of it. Now this is where you can pounce. This is the red flags. Now we clear there. The red flags.
I thought we already did red
The
flags.
red flags are the things we. No, we didn't talk about. Oh,
I'm messing
Lord.
with you. I'm joking with you.
So
Bro.
the red flags. Oh, okay. So the red flags means there's an immoral aspect about it that makes you feel uncomfortable. It's usually a suggestion, an action, or a request that exceeds your normal comprehension. These flags are not to be ignored and can determine whether you remain sanely or if you morph to a desensitized version of you. The act almost feels as if the sexual experience is a weaponized finessing. This is saying sometimes a person can say, what are you trying to do? Like, why are you doing this to me?
Right,
Because
right.
it goes from feeling like someone is loving on you to what are you trying to accomplish here?
Right.
Like, this is feeling different.
Right.
You know, this just
Right.
doesn't feel normal. That's when your senses kind of wake up and you're like, wait, you trying to turn somebody out in a different type of way. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean when I say that part, because I want to say something, but I'm going to be
Go ahead, man.
clean. It's
Dude. We
probably no
already out
clean
there,
way to
man.
say it.
We already out there. Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
perfect.
Go ahead. Go
I don't
ahead.
want to go bad boy on this one, but anyway,
You're
all right.
already bad boy. What are you talking about?
Perfect, perfect example. When it comes to, and I'm only speaking for a man, to all the people in the back, they're listening, whatever. Some kind of way in this world, we have gotten to the place where we think when it comes to the area of, um, the oral dispensation. Okay, when we get to that particular spot, when we get to the oral sex portion. Okay, don't get you said go ahead, Adam. Don't get scared now.
I
All right, when
did.
we get to
I
this
did.
oral sex portion of it,
Yeah. I got my earpods in.
some people thinks in order for it to be enjoyable, it needs to be extremely audible. And I'm trying to be as clean as I can be with this one.
Okay.
I'm only saying this because people take this stuff like it's almost like I see a lot of these things. I see these clips here and there on this, and I'll be saying to even in movies, to be little jokes we see, little things that you see, and I'm just sitting here like, when did this become like this? Like pleasing someone does not take all of that. It just takes you being good at what you do. All
That's
that
it.
extra stuff is performance and is for something else.
Right.
We have adopted the porn industry. We have
Wow.
brought the porn
Okay.
industry into the house.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is, don't get me wrong, people love a person that can handle them,
Yeah.
that gets their body, takes them to their ecstasy place, so be it.
Right.
But after a while, the biggest question we should be asking ourselves is if you come across somebody that does all of these things in this particular way, where did you learn that? Because there's a record to it, right? Whether it's the man or the woman, they've learned it through mad repetition and practice. So you gotta not ignore those things, because we think what's good and sexy in the moment. Oh my God, this person did this. Well, how did they get to that point?
That's true.
Much practice. As I always say, we practice what we wish to perfect. So if somebody is perfecting a certain freaky thing, you better think again and think about it and be like, okay. You gotta keep it real, because this stuff, we are patting these things on the back as we find them and as we see them.
Right.
But trust me when I'll tell you a quick story. I have a relative back in Maryland. Oh, what's wrong? Oh,
nothing. Story time.
I have
It's
a relative back in Maryland. Yes, a relative back in Maryland that when we had an unfortunate gathering, like a funeral or something, him and I always catch up. So we were talking. He says to me, he had been married going on almost 30 years. But I think he's probably been married at that time. This is back in 2020. So I'm thinking he was probably married maybe 26 years or so. So he says, man, I'm still married, blah, blah, blah. I'm thankful that I'm hanging in there and I'm still married. And I said, why you say that? He said, man, Charles, let me be honest with you. I was, I had a little situation and we almost didn't survive it.
Wow.
Right. And his term was, this is exactly what he said, people, just like this. Charles, I have to be honest. She had that bomb neck. He didn't say head. He said neck. That's what he said. He said she had the bomb neck, and her and the cooch was the best he ever had. Wow. That's exactly what he said, his words. I'm just keeping it a buck. So he said this happened, and he said, I used to leave work. He said I was so addicted, I would leave work and go to this lady's house before I went home. Sometimes I would say I had to work and I'd be at this lady's house. He said because it was so addicting. Mind you, I asked him, I said, oh, where did she learn all of that from? And he laughed. He said, funny you should say that. He said, because that same chick, because he worked like, I don't want to say the industry, but make a long story short, he said that same woman was at nighttime screwing his coworker.
Ooh.
his coworker was getting the same story that he thought he was falling in love, risking his house for.
Right.
He was getting this. The friend was getting the same
same thing.
things that was so lovely from over there. And so the point he said to me, he said, all talent is not good talent.
Yeah.
He said some talent is dysfunction.
Yeah.
And what he was saying was, I almost lost my house trying to chase this woman down because she had all pleasure on lock. She had pleasure on lock to him, and he was going for it all. But in the end, it wasn't even worth what he was trying to do, because she wasn't even loyal to him. But come to find out, of course, she has a backstory. She was a stripper, all these other things, and so something came with the reason for her doing all this stuff. Is all I'm saying. So yeah, we gotta think about these things when we fall for these prowess acts, because they make us feel a certain way. And oh, this person can do this, that, and the other. Look, you better understand the backstory, because there's a backstory to all of that. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah. All I'm gonna say in these last 10 minutes is, I'm so glad I'm married to who I'm married to. That's all I can say right now, because this foolishness is crazy. Because you're right, Charles. Yeah. There are a lot of people out there who have weaponized it. They've weaponized it to the point where they can exploit whoever they want to exploit, take advantage of them, and do all kinds of things to them. And God forbid that it should be any of you that fall into this honey trap, if you will, and get exploited for what you have, because you don't know about people and their motives. Why are they doing what they're doing? Nowadays you just don't know. So yeah, dude, that's that. Whoo, Lord have mercy.
Well, to her in that situation, but listen, when I tell you, that situation changed his entire life.
I bet it did.
Because he said to himself, he said, it was foolish of me to only feel as though this woman could only do what she did and maybe not my wife. Like, maybe he said my wife is different from her, but it doesn't mean I couldn't talk to her about what I like.
Exactly.
This person readily did what he liked without communication, without question. The wife was, normal interaction, and we do what we do to get through. And so when this person comes along, he done flipped the script, and it's like, wow, what do you do? And so these things are, when you run across these situations, like you said it best, why are you doing this, and what are you trying to get out of this?
Yeah.
Because if you're doing all of this from someone if you give an A+++ to someone you just met, why?
Right.
Like, what are you doing it for off the break? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that would have completely altered and upended his entire life if he went chasing after something that wasn't worth chasing after in the first place. Because it's obvious to me, and I'm sure everybody else, this woman would have never committed to him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just making an assumption, but she would have never committed to him, because she was entertaining not only his co-worker, but I'm sure many others.
A married dude.
Coming through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he would have upended his entire life.
It probably worked for her.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying?
But in most cases, if we're being honest, when somebody becomes professional in their work, that becomes their bread and butter. People learn how to finesse everybody based off what they can do. Do you know how many people I know people who will tell you, oh, I'm going such and such, I'm gonna break that person off because they're gonna give me some money, or this person gonna co-sign, this person gonna do this, that, and the other, based off what they doing to them.
Right.
And you got the same thing happening for the men. These men be married, dumping off their money over at the chick house because she can do these magical things that he perceives his wife doesn't do. One thing I have learned is sometimes you don't know what a person can or can't do if you don't talk to them. His perception is, I'm sure my cousin's perception was, his wife probably don't get down like this, that, and the other. And look, she don't have to be that woman because she don't have that woman's life. However, there is a middle ground if you communicate about it and tell the person what you like, what you don't like, blah, 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 and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because here's
this
the
is
thing. So here's the thing, though, Charles.
I did pretty good today.
Did you though? Did you do pretty good today?
I didn't tell none of my stories. I kept my stories out of it. This is
Oh,
good.
but we know you
See,
got
I
a
did good. I
story.
told myself I was going to be
We know you
tempered.
have
Oh
several
yeah, I
stories
keep the
to tell.
stories
We
out.
know
I
that.
said, yeah.
You don't want to testify? You don't feel like
Yes,
testifying
yes,
today?
yes.
You don't have a testimony?
Listen, man, the trick nation is real. It's real out here. You gotta be listen, you have to be when you out here in the world, in all to those that are looking to find or connect with someone. I know that at a certain age, most of us will be lying if we didn't say, yeah, you want the person to be level headed, have a good job, a career, compliment what you're doing in your life. But more than all of that, it
Mhm,
gets down to how attractive I am to you
mhm.
and what can we do intimately. That's the
Okay.
bottom line. But the kicker is it shouldn't be everything.
No, it
You know,
shouldn't.
when someone encounters you and flips your brain backwards and you like, oh my God, okay, great. But don't make it everything.
Right.
Because if you base it just off of that, you'll find yourself just doing that, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. Because in all
So yeah,
reality,
I
they're
mean
only
when let me
they're
tell you oh
only
good.
meeting one aspect of who you are. They're only satisfying
For
one
sure.
aspect of who you are.
One,
We're
yes.
forgetting all about the intellectual engagement. We're forgetting all about the spiritual
Yeah.
aspect of it. What about the emotional
Yeah.
part of it? All these different parts make up who we are. And if I have a person that's only meeting one part of me, then I'm selling myself short
Mm,
because I'm a whole lot more than just
yeah.
what I am and what you can see and what you can touch and feel. I'm a whole lot more than that. And if you're selling yourself
Well,
short than that,
but
then
here's
what
the
are we
thing.
doing?
We don't want to assume like so the show was just particularly talking about the bedroom matters. You know, we're not necessarily saying other parts of the relationship or marriage don't work. We're
Mhm.
just talking about an intricate part that people find a lot of turbulence in that bedroom, and people are not necessarily honest about what they like and don't like, or what they're not getting, what they're tolerating, what they're quiet about, or what they're creeping about. We don't talk about it. We just go along to get along.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
You
that's
know,
I think
that's the
that's the
main
problem.
thing. So
Yeah,
that's why we
because
said the bedroom matters. Yeah, we got to talk. Yeah,
we got to talk. At the end of the day, that's like I said from the beginning, we
yeah,
got to talk about
we gotta
this.
talk.
We talk about everything else. We talk about the
Yeah,
kids. We talk about taxes. We talk about mortgages. We talk about careers. We talk about church and what they not doing and what they doing. But we don't talk about us when it comes to our sexual activity with one another and what pleases each other. That has to be a conversation.
well, but you got to have thick skin too, Adam. That's probably why it's the least talked
Mm,
about situation, because if you don't have thick skin, let me tell you, if you talk about sex after you've already started having sex, we're not talking about in the beginning. You
right.
can have all the skin you got before anything happens,
Okay.
but after it happens and you get to talking about and you asking the person, so baby, you like such and such and such and such, whatever, and you got to be open and honest with yourself. Can I deal with this hard truth? Because sometimes what you may think you doing, you're not, and somebody will give you a reality check. And if you, well, baby, you could do more of this, and you're like,
But see
so,
that yeah,
so I'm
if
just telling
look,
you, you
listen,
got to be prepared for those conversations.
right. And if you're going to ask the question, then absolutely be prepared for the answer that you might not like. That's a real conversation. I would rather have an honest, real conversation where you told me the truth and it hurt a little bit than for you to lie to me and we operating off false pretenses. I mean, come on. I don't want that in my
Mm,
relationship. I want somebody to be honest with me, even if it stings me a little, even if it hurts me a little, because then I can grow from that. I can mature from that point and I can move on and become better at what I need to become. Don't sit here and tell me yes when I need to hear a no. That ain't gonna help me. And it sure ain't gonna help
yeah.
you. I'm just saying.
So depending on what the no, but depending on what the no is about,
Mhm.
it can be sensitive. Okay, perfect example.
Yeah. Yeah.
A no about size, nobody can do nothing about.
Well, we can't do nothing about that. Right.
I mean, I'm not saying we live in a world today. We live in the world today. People got magical operations and stuff. But at the core level, if the problem with the relationship is, babe, I love you, but this is just not enough. What you gonna do with that? That's why
You
I
need to
said
you need to
you gotta
talk.
be ready for those tough conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I
yeah.
think, again, like I've always said, I think if we are deliberate and thoughtful about our relationships, then we create a safe space within our relationship to have difficult conversations, to be honest with one another about what's
Mm,
really going on with us. I think that's what we're supposed to do,
yeah.
right? I could be wrong, but if I'm going to have a hard conversation with my wife, let me create a safe space where I can do that, where she doesn't feel like, there's some retaliation coming at her
She'll
or
hurt
there's
your
some
feelings.
judgment coming at her, but that she can say what she
Yeah,
needs to say
yeah.
and I can hear what she has to say to me and we can figure this thing out together, right?
Yes, that's the prayer that we can figure it out together.
Yeah. Figure it out
That's one of the
together.
hardest. Intimacy is one of the hardest things to correct. We can figure out how to save certain sort of money, fix credit, do all these things, change where we live, and all these things. But the intimacy part is a reflection of just us and our personal abilities and thoughts and passions or lack thereof. So it
Yeah,
takes more work because more people feel offended when you talk about their performance.
that's
It's a
true.
very, very
It's a vulnerable
sensitive
thing. I get it.
situation.
Yeah,
People don't want you to say something like you didn't satisfy me. You could do a little better with this, that, and the other. They're like,
right,
oh, now they're upset. Now there's resentment. Now the
right,
sex is really out the window because it's going to be different and approached differently.
right.
So yeah, so
I
it's
get
just
that part. Yeah,
these are one of the kind of shows where you got to keep talking about with your person to really be like, look, let's just be honest and talk about this journey along the way. Let's not
yeah,
assume because what you don't want is a person to keep on going and going and then have a whole list of what they don't like when you
right,
finally do talk about it. You want to
right.
know what's what
What's
along the
what?
way, what's the
Exactly.
person like, what they don't like, no
Right,
surprises,
right.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right,
Real
all
talk.
right.
Real talk.
Yeah, we did good today. We did good today. All right.
Oh
We
gosh.
changed naughty
Whew.
to next level. But anyway,
Did we
so
survive
yeah,
this? Did we make it through this? Lord have mercy.
we got
Jesus.
through this one. Yeah, this is through
Oh
this one.
my
But
God.
you know what? This was mild because I had a whole list of other things I was going to say I didn't. But anyway, kept that for a good another day. But
Lord, I just
anyway,
want to bless you. I just
keep
want to
that to
thank you,
another day.
Lord, that he did not
Yeah,
read from his phone
the
the
Lord
other
took
notes that
over
he had.
because this was supposed to go in a whole different direction. But good, I'm glad it did. It did what it did. So great. All right. Anyway,
Ooh.
we appreciate you all for hanging in there and going through the show with us. Just remember, talk to your people.
Yeah,
Don't
talk to your people.
assume that the person is going to fix the lack on their own. If
Yeah,
there's something that you don't like, first here's the caveat. That thing that you don't like, is it that the person is not doing it right, or is what you like tied to some sort of dysfunction? You got to
mm,
be honest with yourself because
okay,
sometimes we're trying to get people to recreate madness that don't need to be recreated. So
that's
you got
true.
to be honest about that. But anyway, appreciate y'all for tuning into the show this week. As usual, we'll be back next week with another gripping title of a show, 4:30 p.m. Thursdays Central Standard Time. We shall see you guys then. Thank you very. What you got to say, Adam? I already know you want to do some after show
I just
foolishness.
want
Let's
to.
not.
Words of the Love Church.
No, no, we can go. Y'all have a good. And
Oh,
we're still live
Now-
after show,
now you are-
everybody.
Now, listen. Now we're here for the unplugged version. Listen. You know whether or not you got some good stuff or not. Stop lying. If it ain't good, be honest. Tell
Oh,
the
God.
person, I'm struggling in this department and I
Dude.
need some help.
Dude.
The man knows. Listen,
Oh
he
my
got
God.
ED. He's premature. Talk about it. The lady knows she's too dry. Talk about it. You don't present yourself correctly. Stop going to bed with these things on your head and these
What the heck?
boo-boo dresses. All the foolishness. Keep it a buck and let it be free. All right. Anyway, we out.